Good morning, everyone. My name is Dinesh Kumar. I'm with Computek College. I'm the special advisor to the CEO of Computek College. Computek College has been around for 34 years, primarily in Scarborough and then in Markham and now in Ajax. With me today, I have the returning officer of Elections Ontario to provide us some information in the electoral process. I would like to introduce you to Eddy Gasparatto, the returning officer of Elections Ontario. Eddy, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well, I really appreciate it. We wanted to start off with a small introduction. Computek College is part of 369 Global Group of companies. It's committed to providing a nonpartisan civic engagement opportunities for our community of employees, customers, partners, stakeholders, and students, as well as instructors, for our entire faculty, focusing on three key priorities: education, creating knowledge and awareness about the electoral process and the importance of voting; information, sharing news and resources related to the upcoming provincial election; participation, providing opportunities to get involved in the elections through paid and volunteer positions at Elections Ontario. These would be the primary objectives, and I wanted you to take it away. Thanks, Eddy.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for having me. My name is Eddy Gasparatto, as was mentioned, but I'm a returning officer here in Scarborough Southwest, which is ED 098. There are 124 returning officers covering Ontario. Basically, we're in the field looking after the chief election officer's position here for the public. I've always looked at my job is to make sure if you're entitled to vote, you have that right to vote. We do have various methods, and I believe the website that you can refer to has a lot of information that you can go to. It's not completely up and running now. I believe on the February 14th, you can go into that website, which I think has been noted here, and you'll be able to put in your postal code, and it'll probably tell you where you're going to vote. But within that website is also your current candidates' names that have registered to this point. The problem is there could be more candidates registering. They have up until this Thursday at 2 p.m. to get registered, going through the nomination process. I guess for me, for your position, bottom line is if you're a Canadian citizen, you're 18 or over and a resident of Ontario, you're entitled to a vote. You can go online and register yourself if you're not already on the the electors list, but please check that out. Please participate, because this is the whole opportunity. You're entitled to a vote, and I feel my job is to make sure you can vote if you wish to vote. I just have to follow the process. You're entitled to it. You have a democratic right to have your say. And I encourage everyone to follow up on that within wherever they live in Ontario. As long as you meet those three criteria, please proceed. If you want to get involved with a political party, if you find one of your candidates is someone you support and believe in, there's nothing stopping you from volunteering and assisting in that campaign. If you also want to work for Elections Ontario, you're entitled to go online and apply for a job. We're in the midst of filling all our positions, but there are numerous positions that will be required on poll day. So if you have computer skills, which I believe most of you have here, we do use technology in many of our polls. And that would be like, we call them poll books. It's a digital version of the list of electors versus the old type where we would strike them on paper. We still have that in many of our locations as well. But I just want you to be aware, if you go to that site, there will be a lot of information on that site that will be very helpful for you. And the idea is to get you to engage and become part of the system, part of the process. You're entitled to it. If you have any questions, I don't know what further you might like me to say, but I just want you to be aware that there's a lot of information out there, and I encourage you to get involved.
Thank you, Eddy. Once again, really appreciate your time for taking the trek out here. I think when I just wanted some clarity on who can vote here.
Bottom line is, and when you go to this predicament, or when you take a look at this, I think you can put this posting on there. The very first thing is you have to be 18 years of age or older on poll day. So it's February 27th. So if you are 17 today, but you're going to be 18 before the 27th or on the 27th, you're entitled to vote. You're a Canadian citizen and you're a resident of Ontario. If you meet those three criteria, you're entitled to a vote. So to be clear on that, I just want everyone to understand that. But once you go into that website, it'll stipulate it for you right off the bat. To me, is getting more information on where the area where you live. Once you put your postal code in, that site will take you to basically all the information that's local to you that you should be concerned about or wanting to review on your candidates, etc., and deciding who you feel best represents you.
Thanks, Eddy. And when I think there was inquiries about if I'm a landed immigrant in Canada, a permanent resident in Canada, Ontario, Canada, and I am an accredited refugee in Ontario, Canada. Just wanted some clarity on can I vote? And if not, what is the process for me to actually be able to vote? You had mentioned a Canadian citizen, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no, whatever the definition of a Canadian citizen, as long as you meet that requirement, that's one of the three requirements. You're a resident here in Ontario, most likely you are 18 or over on election day, and you're a Canadian citizen. So whatever that stipulation is, that's what we ask.
Absolutely.
And if you were to apply to work at a polling center, that is one of the things that are going to be asking you right online. So if you go through that online system, you'll see that that's sort of asked up front. So
got you. So the fundamental requirement to be able to vote is you have to be a Canadian citizen.
Correct.
And in order for you to be able to volunteer with Elections Ontario, do you have to be a Canadian citizen?
Yes.
And that applies for any jobs that Elections Ontario posts as well?
Correct. We have a number of jobs on polling day, from supervisors, area managers, which normally go to people that have had experience with the election. But then there's the DROs, especially during a tech poll. That's deputy returning officers. They deal with e-poll books. And then there's a tabulator person, which is basically the counting machine for the ballots that get done electronically. And then there's even an information assistant. Now, the interesting part, other than the Canadian residency, is the information assistant can be 16 to 17. The tabulator can now be 17 because the tabulator physically does not touch the ballot. So in order for anyone to touch that official document, they have to be 18 or over. But at the same time, because the tabulator is not touching the ballot, it's just in the sleeve and the machine takes it in. They've changed the rules last election to 17-year-old. So depending on your age and where you qualify, you can do a different job. The other one is even information assistants can be 16, and basically they're greeters.
Right.
And they get paid for training. It's all arranged. They come in for training depending on the position, and then they go out depending on the job. It's the night before to set up the technology. Paper polls don't get set up the night before. They can get set up that morning of the election. They go in for 8 o'clock. It's a long day, but it's engaging with the public. That's the important thing.
Right. And just touching on that next step. So I'm going to come towards the voting aspect of it.
Yep.
But what is you had mentioned the website, elections.on.ca, and if I wanted to, as a Canadian citizen, and many of our students and instructors are, what is the first step I need to do to say I'd like to volunteer or I'd like to work?
Okay, if you'd like to volunteer and vote, my preference is you come into the returning office and you can find that location online and do a handwritten application. But right now, we are going through the list of online applicants. So we're pulling people, and depending if we know them, because especially people who've done the job in the past, they're the ones you'd like to get back then for the future. But this is such a rush election. We are just going through the numbers and putting people in. We just started our training yesterday. So if you can appreciate it, and if people are interested in that, you just need to find out. You go through that website, chances are you will find out the location of your returning office. That's the best place to go in. You can put it in online, but we have quite a few applications. So by the time they get through to the bottom, that's why personally I prefer people come in and apply, and then that way you can see that they can write and fill in the documentation and follow properly. Because when it's online, until we get them into training, sometimes things don't work out, unfortunately. But if you feel confident in doing this, we welcome everyone. It's an open.
Thank you. We with our campuses in Scarborough, Markham, and in Ajax, we have a large geographical area of students that we serve. So this is great to know that by entering the postal code where I live in, I would get to know the electorate office. So, for example, when we enter Computek College postal code in Scarborough, that's how I got to know the Scarborough Southwest electoral office. So the good news is you can actually go and volunteer or work as a Canadian citizen in any of these elections offices.
If you apply to work in Elections Ontario, it's not volunteer, you'll be paid. So
this is fantastic.
And the idea with the postal code is, doesn't matter where you live in Ontario, as long as you have your postal code, that will give you the information you need. You can go online to see if you're registered or get registered. The advantage of getting registered is once you're on that voters list, you will receive what they call a voter information card. And that card will come to you and it explains the advance poll that occur at what times and locations. It also explains where you would vote on polling day, which is very helpful information. To me, once anyone in your residence receives that card, you'll basically be having that same information for everyone in that residence. But if you're on the voters list, you will get an individual card mailed out to you.
This is fantastic. Thanks again. I want to go one step further. Let's get to the part about as a Canadian citizen, I would like to vote. You had touched on this. I just wanted to go through the process of registering to vote, especially as a new Canadian citizen. I may not have received the voting card. Typically, how would I know that this is the electorate where I vote? But more importantly, I want to participate. And how do I make sure that I'm registered to vote?
So as I explained earlier on that website, you should see your name on that website with your postal code. If you're not on that website, there's a process online for you to get registered. You don't have to be registered to vote. As long as you appear in person at the voting location and you have two pieces of ID, if you're not on the list, one showing your address and another one proving that's who you are, it's usually a photo ID. Normally, a driver's license is acceptable because the voter's card, believe it or not, isn't accepted as a part of ID. But the voter card it's got the barcode on it. And as I was mentioning earlier, our locations that have technology, those e-poll books have a scanner attached. So they can scan your barcode, your name comes up, and then once you prove ID that that's who you are, they strike you from the list. They issue your ballot in the secrecy folder. You go off to the voting screen, you mark your ballot, you put it in the secrecy folder, you take it to the tabulator, which just puts it up to the mouth of the machine and it takes it in so no one sees anything. And scanner, and you're done. But I just wanted to reinforce that you do not have to be on that list to be able to vote, as long as you can prove ID and show up. The problem for me or for you, if you want to vote at an advanced poll And there's going to be, I'd say, minimum 2 to 4 or 5, depending on where you are in Ontario. There will be only a 3-day advance poll period, and I believe that starts next Thursday. And those locations, you can go to any one of them and be able to vote. You would have to register, sign a document, and you would be able to vote. And then you could elect to be put on the voters list, the electors list. So next election, you would get that card. In difficulty, there's someone who's just moved. So if someone has just moved in and they have a new neighbor, chances are they won't be on that voters list there. They might be on where they came from. So eventually we will move them over, but they're still entitled to vote. And the other thing, the same thing on polling day. If on polling day you decide to go in and vote, which you're entitled to, as long as you prove that your identification, you will be signing a paper declaring everything's legal and you can vote. So don't ever rule yourself out. There are ways to get entitled. As far as I'm concerned, my job is, if you're entitled to vote, I want to make sure you make that choice and you can vote.
Thank you. This is quite important. When I walk in, let's just say I have not received the voting card, and how do I? What is the process that I prove to you, or am I required to prove that I'm a Canadian citizen? Because since that is a fundamental requirement.
Yes. I can't recall, but I think there's a box that you have to tick off, and you're signing that document. It's a legal document, and you are saying you are. So we're going to take you at your face value. If you're not, I'm not sure what the legal repercussions are, because something you shouldn't be doing, you're signing something illegal. So just be careful of that. Just make sure you fit those 3 criteria, and then you should have no problems at any location where you go.
And would you recommend, just for the process sake, do you recommend if I had a Canadian passport, especially if I'm a new citizen, I might be waiting for the Canadian passport, but I certainly have the documentation as a Canadian citizen. Is it best to bring that?
I would bring that, yes. And then there would be no question if you feel, but I believe we take you on your honesty. And once you sign that document, you've signed a legal document now. And if you were lying, I'm not sure what the repercussions would be, but they might not be in your favor. So just make sure you're okay, that you feel you know that you're qualified to vote, and then come in and vote. Because to me, it's a very important thing. It's your opportunity to have a say in what's going on here. It doesn't cost you anything but your time, but if you take this seriously, you do some research on the different parties to see which party should represent you. That's what you're voting.
If again, as a citizen, and I've been in Canada for over 40 years, so I'm quite aware of the fact that there are federal elections, provincial elections, municipal elections, and fundamentally, I think the especially going through the Canadian citizenship process, you become more aware of the federal process.
Yeah.
What would be the difference between these elections? I know you're an Ontario elections official, but what would you say is something for as a student, as an instructor, as a faculty member, that I should get to know?
I guess bottom line is, at the moment in Ontario has taken over the municipal list of electors. So once you get on the provincial list of electors, you can tick off a box, and that automatically puts you on the municipal list as well. They do share data between the feds and the federal elections officials and the province, but you can also tick off that you don't want to be on the list. That does not take away your right to vote. I just want to be clear on that. I'm not sure about the sharing, because I know they share information. The important thing is, if you want that information and you want to be on the list, then you would get what I refer to as that voter information card, the VIC. They will be going out shortly. I'm not sure if they've already gone out, but at the same time, you will be getting that if you're on the list. If you're not, chances are, if you know where your neighbors are going to vote, you're going to go to the same spot. So just to save you that way. But the benefit of being on that list to me is the fact that you are going to be informed of where you go vote. But now with computers, you can get on and find out where that information is. And I can't extend enough to go to that website and do some research. You will find a lot of information there. Look at your candidates, get to know the parties, get to see who you feel would best represent you, because that's what we're doing here. But I'm not sure I screwed around your question.
Absolutely, no, it's very good.
So,
Because and the federal elections, whenever that happens, that's another process
yes,
entirely. It's not a seamless database, as to your point.
right.
It has to be, again, only Canadian citizens can vote. I think, I want to move into understanding the provincial representatives. So you're electing a candidate to become a provincial member of parliament,
MPP.
MPP. There is a difference between a municipal councillor, a regional councillor, and then versus a provincial MPP and federal MP. The provincial MPP, I wanted to provide a clarification that you might be aware of the current MPPs and ministers and so on who were elected from the last election. But as of the day that the elections were called,
The writ is dropped.
the writ is dropped. Thank you. No one is an elected official.
Correct.
Everyone is a candidate.
Correct.
So you're choosing a candidate.
Yeah.
And how do I go about learning about all of these candidates? And does the website provide that information?
That's what I mentioned. I can't stress enough. The website is very informative. If you go in there and spend some time, once you put that postal code in, it'll take you right there. It'll take you to who your current registered candidates are. And from there, most of them have a website. You can go in and see what they talk about or what they have to say. But to me, it's very important that you inform yourself of the different candidates and what the parties stand for. They're different between federal, provincial, and municipal. At the moment, it's more individual municipal, but I've heard that they're talking about possibly bringing in party politics and municipal as well. You need to find out who you feel best reflects what your wishes are that you would like to see going forward. That's the important thing. So to me, it's a bit of time on your part to do some investigating on your different candidates to see what makes you feel comfortable. And the bottom line is, unfortunately, we all can't have a say. We only can put one person in to represent us. And who do you feel would best represent you? Now, just because your person doesn't get in this time, things could change and you will have more experience and exposure to the parties to see what's going on. You'll have a better understanding in the future of where you'd like to see the province going. So this is why, to me, it's very important that you take that time to do that research and get comfortable with it. And chances are these candidates might be coming to your home and knocking on your door because they're all out canvassing now. And if you have the questions you'd like to ask them directly, that's the time. Or get a hold of their campaign office and ask those questions and see if you get a response and see how you feel with how they're replying to what your questions are. This is a free country. You're entitled to your vote. And to me, if you just sit back and do nothing, then those who get out and have a say, that's what we have today. Because I do not believe we'll ever have 100% voter turnout. That's wishful thinking. But unfortunately, this is the best system that I see that we have going now. I don't want to boast, but because of our technology, things are a lot quicker and easier. But we do have what they call paper polls, and that's what the feds use. But we have basically a few, whoever has a lot of high rise, et cetera, that use them and or nursing homes and long-term care homes. Even for people that might be at a rehab hospital out of their area where they live. We do have a thing coming up called special ballots in the hospital. And once this nomination ends, I believe next week sometime, we will have a book with every candidate in the province. So you could be out at a hospital in Hamilton, but if you're in that hospital and they're doing special ballots there while you're there, they can come in and you'll be able to still vote where you live. That's the only time that that sort of is open, because normally you have to go and vote in person, or you can vote by mail. If you don't want to come out and go to the returning office, if you go online, once you send in your qualifying documentation, they will mail you out a ballot. The only difference is on the mail-in, you have to know who you're going to vote for, because you have to put that person's name in. You cannot put a party in. You have to put the person's name in that you want to vote for. It's got to be put back in the mail, and it has to be received at the returning office by 6 o'clock poll night. If they're concerned about it, you're better off to bring it in and put it in person. But and unfortunately, I have seen ballots that come back from out of country. They come in after the 6 o'clock deadline, and I pick them up for a few days after, because the postal system is out of our control.
Correct.
So to be safe, if you want to make sure your vote is counted, if you want to vote by mail, you can do that, but just make sure you get to the returning office. They'll have a box there to receive that mail-in ballot. So that's happening now, and that really came to fruition during COVID, and people are still using it. Unfortunately, because of the time of year of this election, there are a lot of people down south right now. So I've seen a large number of mail-in ballots mailed down south, because people go south for the winter. So unfortunately, and so we're going to expect a bigger turnout that way.
And unlike the municipal elections, there is no online.
No, we don't do online voting. No.
I think only the municipal elections have.
Some of them have different locations and other. But I want to show my bias. I really believe our system is a straightforward, honest system. You have to remember, Elections Ontario is at arm's length from the legislature. So this is an independent organization that's not influenced. And we provide, Chief Elections Officer provides this service to everyone. As I said, that's what you're entitled to vote. So make sure you take advantage of that.
Elections Ontario is not part of the government of Ontario. There is no bias. It is an independent authority that is respected by everyone, from officials to candidates, as well as the public at large. So it's a safe place to ask questions. It's a safe place to register your information. And there's tons of information on the elections.on.ca website. I just wanted to reiterate something that Eddy pointed out, which is participate, get your vote out. As a Canadian citizen, you should participate. Learn about the candidates, all of the candidates' information. So by next week, everyone who wants to be a candidate, that information will be up, or is it already up?
Well, our current people that are registered in our situation, we have had 3 people that were nominated through the parties through Elections Ontario before the written draw. 1 person has come in after. So in Scarborough Southwest, at the moment, we have 4 candidates. The other thing I need to explain is, as far as we're concerned, we also look after the candidates too, to make sure they're being fair and equitable and playing by the rules. So we deal with them, and so this is a whole separate process from your perspective. But if you get involved, depending on what you do, if you get involved with one of the parties, you can turn around and will become quite knowledgeable within that party. But remember, there's usually more than one candidate. We don't know. I heard that last meeting that I think there was one area in Ontario that still only had 1 candidate. So Ontario is vast. So as I said, there was 124 electoral districts here. So take a look, and everyone's different. You look at your situation, and whatever party you decide to support, that's your free choice.
And I know you can't speak to it, so I'm just going to touch on that aspect, Eddy, which is learn about the candidates and your involvement. You can actually volunteer with any of the candidates that you choose to support, learn about them, and if their values are aligned with your values, as a Canadian citizen, you can participate. And the best opportunity when you're learning about all of the candidates is also the knowledge that you earn, and also that you can share that knowledge to your family and friends, saying, I learned this from Elections Ontario, then I chose to learn about these candidates. I'm supporting a candidate, and this is the reason. So participating with the candidates as a volunteer is also an important civic engagement, simply because you've learned why you're supporting, and then you're supporting, but more importantly, being actively participating in the process, which is a democratic process as well. So, we encourage everyone's, this is part of the reason that 369 Global and Computek College embarked. We started this journey 2 years ago, when we provided information, webinars, expert speakers such as Eddy, providing unbiased information, and from an authority figure such as Ontario Elections Ontario. Any last comments, Eddy?
I guess my last comments to you is saying I'm taking this group, we're all students here at Computek. You're coming here to get educated. And that's why you're spending time here, hopefully to move on in life. At the same time, you get to vote for who represents you. I would say take the same time now and educate yourself on the different candidates. You may align with one person or party, and that's your choice, and you have a right to do that. Other people can speak to you, and you can speak to others from how you feel, from what you see. You're entitled to your vote. I would just say educate yourself as much as possible to be quite satisfied on who you want to support. Whether the person wins or not, that's not the issue. The issue is that you get out and you've exercised your right to vote. When I look at the overall picture, we only get a turnout of 40 or 50%. What does the other part of the population that could have voted, what do they really have to say? So I think it's important for people to get out and exercise their franchise, as they've said in the past, and take advantage of it, because it comes along every 4 years. It might be sooner now, we don't know, but take advantage of what your rights are.
Thank you so much. Participate, engage, learn, and get your vote out. That is your democratic right as a Canadian citizen. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Eddy, I really appreciate your time and coming to see us. If you have any more questions, once again, you can go into elections.on.ca, or feel free to contact us at computekcollege.edu. That's competuk.edu. We will engage with Elections Ontario, obtain the information, and happy to do Q&As. Eddy has been extremely generous in coming here, and he's also offered to provide additional information for any of you who is asking for more information. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.